just look at team. Whatever team it is, it's going. I mean, I happen to notice in the process sometimes that good players are going in there, but that's whatever. I'm not concerned with it whatsoever or at all. So just put those in there. Like I said, maybe maybe this will help see people see that, like I said, that we are 100% when we say, hey, we are putting whatever card in a box. That's just whatever's going in that box. I don't care what it is, who it is, how much it's worth. That just takes too much time. If I get cards that are in sheets or in books, those are the ones that sometimes I'll check out, or I'll use as like the 2 for 6s that you see and whatnot, that kind of thing. But otherwise, like I said, it's completely random. It's like this box here, I'm out of baseball right now. I gotta sort through some more cards. A lot of times I have to sort through and get the sport sorted out first, you know, because there's a lot of them in here. They're mixed up, you know. So I went through some of them and got them straightened out. Like these are all football, so I'll mix those with a bunch of football cards, you know, and that's what I'll do. You never know. You just never know what's where, you know. So you just kind of have to keep digging and dealing with it, you know. Sometimes I'll run to a box that is all baseball, so then I'll set it aside. You know, if I know it's all baseball, set it aside, and I'll use that to help mix the boxes as I'm filling. Because I'm trying to get rid of all basically trying to get rid of all the big boxes and put them into these boxes that are good for the cards. But like I said, it can be a challenge. You know, it can be a real challenge going through some of them. You know, you never know. And then I'll have boxes that'll say, well, this is football, or this is baseball. I picked up collections for, you know, there are thousands and thousands of cards. And you just don't have the time, you know, to say, okay, well, I want to look at all these cards and see, you know, what's going on in here. You don't have that kind of time. You have to just kind of be on the fly with it and say, all right, this guy tells me it's all football, and this row and that row look like it's all football. Well, maybe it's all football. But oftentimes I find out not the case. But, you know, if you're running around town, around state, just picking up loads and loads of cards, man, you just kind of got to do what you got to do. You never know. So, like I said, this was just wanting to show you. I'll keep doing a couple more because I got this footballs. Trying to find more footballs. And I try to be careful not to accidentally mix any, but it can be hard. See, you go through them. Sometimes I get cards like that. That looks like trash. So if I get that, I don't even bother with it. I just throw it away. Because I'm not trying to bring you guys trash cards, you know. Someone told me one time I ought to build a box of cards that I think are garbage and just sell them for cheap. Like start them for $1 and everybody know, hey, these are sort of like not in the world's best of shape. I suppose I could do such a thing. And it probably wouldn't be a big deal, but especially if I tell somebody about it, you know. But I don't know. To me, I just don't know how I feel about even doing that. Like, look at this one. Someone thought they'd try to draw on that card. So, you know, you lose out sometimes with that kind of thing going on. You know? It's hard sometimes when you said, like, when you're when you're looking through the cards, especially if they're not already sorted out, you got to sort out. Like I'm looking over here, I can't really just say, okay, I'm going to pull a stack of cards from here because I can already tell that there's a lot in here that are baseball and football and even some basketball. So if I can find a row that I can say, okay, yeah, that's definitely all football, well then I can pull it. But it doesn't happen often, man, because people, like I said, people will tell you, oh yeah, all I have is football cards, or all I have is baseball cards, and then sometimes you get stuff like that. I mean, you'll take a stack out and like you were expecting football or baseball, and you'll get a whole bunch of things like that, and it's like that's not football or baseball at all, you know. And you have to kind of like, all right, well, there went that stack, you know. So you can't throw that in there, you know. You just kind of got to keep on going. So like, this is how I'm looking. This is all I do to look through them. I'm just checking them out. They look like they're in pretty good shape. Like I'm sure that those are good players in there, right? But it doesn't matter to me. Those are going in a box. And that's how we mix them up, man. We just grab whatever. That's all you can do. Before I start on football, gotta put these baseballs up so I don't get them mixed up. Or at least out of the way. Just figured I'd do this because, you know, I don't think a lot of people think it or nothing, but I know there's some folks that think, oh man, you're just pushing cards. Yeah, I'm pushing cards that I find in collections, sometimes an occasional storage unit. I'm really straightforward with folks and let them know that they are collection cards or they're storage unit cards, because that matters. That matters. If you buy storage unit cards, I'm not saying you can't find something good in a storage unit. You can. That's why I buy them. But let's say you get a storage unit that was sitting there for like 10 years. Well, now these cards have been sitting in the heat, the cold, the heat, the cold, the heat, the cold, the heat, the cold, you know. Or maybe, you know, a storage unit was someone put a bunch of food in there and now you got mice. So now you deal with the fact that if you just buy a box of cards that came straight from a storage unit where someone didn't check it out, maybe a whole bunch of them have some bottoms chewed out, you know, and you got a whole lot of mice, you know. So that's not cool. You know, nobody needs that. You're not trying to buy a bunch of cards that are chewed up, you know, and they have no value. Not even if you're just trying to collect them, like because you're interested in collecting, you know. The collecting can be cool in a lot of ways. Even if there's a lot of people that'll say things like, "Oh, it's junk wax" or whatever, and I'm sure I'm going to get people on here saying, "Hey, you know, that's just junk wax you're selling." Whatever, to you. But it can still be fun to collect, and if you're looking to collect like a whole set, or maybe you like a certain team, you know, you can buy the cards trying to get to a point where maybe you get a whole team built that you like, or maybe you get a whole set of the certain scorecards, or a whole set of upper decks or something, you know. And then you're like, cool, I got that. So then you go through here. I guess what I do, same thing. Go through here, just look. Everything's looking good. Like there's a Rodney Peete. I don't care. There's a Rodney Peete rookie. That's super cool. I don't care. Another Rodney Peete. You know, I'll just keep flying them on by them. Rodney Peete's pretty good. And then you run, here you go, see? Now I got some more, whatever these are. So I got to take all those out. Because those aren't anything that anybody, you know, is going to want if they're buying a box of football cards, you know. Anyone out here that's watching from Whatnot, man, thank you for stopping in. You know, we've done a lot of shows on Whatnot. Chances are, if anybody checked it out, it would be Andrew. Andrew, thank you for stopping. Well, Michael, definitely thank you for stopping. Michael's always been on their shows for us. He's a great guy. And then anyone who's not from those areas, same thing. Thank you for stopping in. We appreciate everybody. But you should check us out on Whatnot. We're Paper City on Whatnot. I don't think YouTube, at least I haven't been able to figure out yet how YouTube will let me share the link so it's not shared. But, hey, check us out on there, see what you can find. Maybe ignite your little fuel into collecting, finding something that you can get. And, if you buy a box and you're like, hey, man, I want to complete a set. So maybe you got so many of this set, so many of that set. Buy another box, man. Chances are, with all the cards we got, that you won't have any issues at some point completing a set. You just won't. And as of right now, our boxes are $25 if they're just one sport. If it's just all football, all baseball, or whatever, we're selling them for about $20 to $25. If we're building teams, which we do take teams, if somebody has a team they want, we will build a team for you. This is what they look like when they're done. About 400 cards in that box for $20 to $25. If we build a team for you, it'll be about 400 team cards in there. A little less because we'll usually put a pack or two in there as well. So you're getting an unopened pack. Plus, we charge $35 for the teams. The reason is because we also put sleeves on every one of them. So I've had people ask, why don't you put sleeves on the ones we put in the box? Well, I could, but that is really time consuming, and the boxes don't really hurt the cards, man. If you take care of it, shipping, and you do the best you can, boxes, they don't hurt the cards, especially boxes that are designed for the cards. When you see a bunch of cards in a shoe box and stuff like that, yeah, you'll get some cards in there that'll be damaged because that box wasn't designed for cards, man. So you'll still get good cards. Still get good cards. You just may not. There are going to be cards in there that aren't any good. So we just thought. I thought I'd just do a little video and show that kind of what we're doing here. I'm building another football box now. Kind of making sure that there's some hockey, some baseball. Those baseballs there really, probably all of them are really no good. Here's a mix of some older football. But see, like this too, I'll take these things out because that's no good. And that's baseball, so that's no good. So you got football. There's some football, and then all of a sudden, bam, you run into some of these weird little hockey things, right? So you're like, all right, well, got football, but then I got these darn things. Well, those don't do any good. And then, cool, right? Wrestling cards, but they're not football, so can't really put those in there because, again, it's football. So you gotta, and sometimes you go through them, man. You might miss one or two, so you get like a little treasure in there, I guess I can call it, man. Maybe because if I miss one or two, you get something a little different in there. Makes it kind of interesting. It keeps it alive. I don't do it on purpose. It just, like I said, I'm not looking so much for like what is this or who is this. I'm looking more for like, is it a good card, on the fly, and then that kind of thing. Like you look through here, let's see. If I thought that was a box of football, well, it wouldn't have worked because then there's another football, but there's a couple of baseballs. So I got to take the baseballs out, set those aside so I can use them for the baseball box. And we got footballs, a whole bunch more. See, there's a whole bunch of football in that one. And like I said, you never know. Sometimes you do get collections where people have put stuff together, and I don't know, I've been debating what to do on that one because like I don't really want someone to get a whole bunch of doubles. But then it's like, it's weird because in one way you say, all right, yeah, you may not want a bunch of doubles of a common, right? But let's say I'm building a basketball box. If you got a whole bunch of doubles of some guy that was just a common player, you're probably gonna be letting people know about it. Oh, I got all these doubles. But at the same time, and then that could be looked at negatively, like, okay, well, yeah, this guy's giving you a bunch of doubles, right? And that could look at bad. And I get it. But at the same time, if you had a box full of Michael Jordans, you ain't going to be very mad about that, are you? So it's kind of one of those things. You got to think, like, yeah, maybe occasionally you get a double. I try not to do it. I try real hard not to let doubles get in there, but again, dude, I'm just flying through them. That's all I'm really doing. I'm just flying through them, trying to mix them up, trying to bring good cards to people, the best that I can anyway, and trying to mix them up so you get a variety. I don't want people not getting a whole variety of those things. So you just got to kind of do the best you can. With what you got. What you can find. It can be a real treat sometimes, trying to locate stuff and trying to put it in there. So the team building is a lot harder. It's a lot harder because when you're building a team, that is like the most time-consuming thing in the world. But we kind of figure a lot of people like teams more than they like cards. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people that just love cards and they're gonna want every card they can get their hands on. And you got people who chase just cards that are like inserts or whatever. You'll hear people say like, oh, I don't want base cards or something. I don't know, whatever. A card's a card. I get it, but it depends on what you're collecting, and to each their own, And you get people that, they're like, well, I don't really collect cards, but dude, I love watching football, or baseball, and I would most definitely get a whole bunch of cards from my team, because I know my team, and I wanna have cards from the guys that I watch, I get that. I think almost more than I get the idea of collecting, because if you're really big into your sport, you might want that. So, and one of the things I've said to people on Whatnot that have watched me, for those that say, well, hey, these are just some junk wax. I don't put just junk wax in the box, as you call it. That I know that's what they're called, but that's not the only thing we put in there. And I have something for those folks too that say that. And again, your opinion's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But we're doing a lot of this to ignite the collecting again, because we're kind of tired of seeing this. I'm okay with graded cards. I am, and we're working on getting into some of those. I won't send anything that I buy that's ungraded out for grading. I just won't. But we're working on trying to renew the spirit of collecting, the fun in it, I put it to like what I do music, in a sense. Music, when I was a kid growing up, was really fun, especially rock. It was really fun. And then it got into a point where it was just technical. And it seems like collecting is getting into that too, because you got, anybody know like about the cheese snobs or whatever, or the wine snobs? They get so technical with the tasting notes or whatever that someone who's just like, I just like cheese, man, has to feel like, man, I don't know, Same like with cigar smoking, man. People say, with smoking a cigar, well, did you taste pepper, leather? Well, no, I didn't taste leather, because I don't wander around licking leather. I don't pick up all those notes. I only know if it's good or it's not good. So we need people to collect it, just have fun and enjoy it. And they need to feel like it's okay to do so. Anyway, man, like I said, you just saw me put another box together. That's kind of how we do it, So if you want to check us out, like I said, we're on Whatnot. You don't have to buy at the auction platform if you don't want to. We do have a shop in there where you can buy boxes of cards. There's 400 cards per box, and I think we have them on there for $25. So it's a pretty good deal. 400 cards for $25. What is that, like roughly 5 cents a card? That's pretty cheap. So at that rate, even if you are getting a common here and there, 5 cents a card. That's a pretty good deal, we think. You know, I'm sure someone might think different, but you know, hey, I just thought I'd say that, and you know, if you guys ever want to check us out on there, by all means do so. You know, if we'd like to have anybody on there, stop into Whatnot. I won't be doing a show tonight. Not that anybody's probably going to catch this video yet, but typically we run a show every night, and we start those shows at around midnight, almost every night, midnight Eastern time. So, you know, come check us out, man. Maybe you aren't into collecting and you get into it. Maybe you're into collecting but you've just kind of faded away from it a little bit, and you're like, nah, and you get back into the idea again, you know, and you know, and reignite that childhood passion you have. Like, look at this. These are some older cards, man. Jim Ryan, Jet Brooks, Thomas Benson, Lewis Sharp. The other night on our show, I did a 2 for 6. The 2 for 6 is where we take a pack of cards, 2 packs of cards that are unopened, 2 packs, and we sell them for $6 at the start of the block, and then I add all kinds of stuff behind it. We call it the Sneaky Steve. And anything I add behind it or next to it, sometimes I'll let you know, is going. Like, look, that's going in the box. Everything that we add behind it is going with it too. We actually, in one of our 2 for 6s yesterday, somebody got a Jim McMahon rookie card. So you never know what you might put in there. I've had a couple guys. I had one guy get an O.J. Simpson card. You know, so you know, stop on into the Whatnot show. Again, we're Paper City on Whatnot. We also do stuff on eBay. We do more than just sports cards, man. We do have a lot of clothes, some old clothes, mall brand clothes, stuff like that. And when we get clothes out of a storage unit, we don't just smell test them and ship them. We actually take them and get them cleaned. So if you're buying some of our clothes, they actually are cleaned. We don't sell 20-year-old storage unit clothes with the smell they came with. And we go through and make sure if we take pictures of them so you can see everything that's there. If there's any stains or anything like that, we try to do the best that if we see them, we point them right out and let you know what's there. Typically, if we get stuff that's real stained up, we won't even bother with it, just because. Here's an old card, Bills. Typically, if we get stuff stained up, like I said, we don't even bother with it because, I don't know. I don't figure people want to run around with stained stuff. I did have somebody tell me one time I should still do it because, like, if it's stained on the knees and stuff, people will cut the knees out anyway and make things out of them. So I guess so. And but some of the stuff we have on eBay right now is like we got some Abercrombie and Fitch jeans, and we got some designer shirts. I think 1 or 2 designer shirts. Most of it right now is jeans. We also have laser discs. If anybody's interested in laser discs, those are on there. So by all sense of means, man, come on there and check us out. Check us out on Whatnot. On Whatnot, it's always a live auction, so we talk and go back and forth. You guys will be on the chat feeding. We'll be reading what's on the chat and talking back and forth. So check us out, you know. Never know what you might find, and if you have things you're looking for, you never know. We might be able to help you find some stuff. So we have helped some guys find some odd players. Michael, a gentleman, was looking for a guy named Thad Bosley. And we found a couple of Thad Bosley cards for him, and we're still searching for Thad Bosleys. And any Thad Bosley we get goes his way. And I try real hard to make sure every one of the Thad Bosleys we get goes his way, and we try real hard not to even charge him for it, man. Those are usually in his givvies because it's just something that he likes, you know. And we aim to do the best we can to make people happy. We just love the community there. The community at Whatnot is crazy. It's awesome. It's fun. And the people there are really super nice, man. There's a lot more folks than just us. So if you've never been to Whatnot, by all means, check it out. You're missing out. eBay is not the only selling app, folks. And you can get some really killer deals on Whatnot. So anyway, I'm going to end this video with that. You guys, thanks for checking it out. I'm going to keep building my boxes, man. Have a good one.